what's up, everybody? It's Wes, Hank, and Andy, and oh my God, we are back.
Finally here.
The road to
Road
here
is over.
The road to here was long,
Destination achieved.
and here we are. Episode 1 of the Fandom Power presents the Ahsoka Fano Show. You know what this is all about. We're back. We're back in regular form tonight. Deep diving on all the stuff that you probably saw. Maybe you didn't see it all. Maybe you're catching this for the first time and you are living vicariously through us. In which case,
watch it backwards.
Thank you so much. Watch it backwards.
That's awesome.
Once you're done, then go watch it again. It's worth repeat viewings.
It absolutely is worth repeat viewings. In fact, I watched the first episode again just before we went to air tonight.
You caught things that I didn't catch. That at least one thing.
Yeah.
When we get there organically, you can throw it in, man.
Yeah, sure.
I was getting not like, oh, I didn't see that before. Like, oh, there's a Gotal, or that long fella's got a beard. I was getting realizations about bigger stories, that more consecutive watches. I was like, holy, this means that, and whoa, that means this, and
I guess for me, and I know we'll talk about it more as certain things happen, but like it's the mythology connection that's really gotten me on this one. And maybe I didn't notice it as much before in Rebels, but I am certainly really aware of it now over these first couple of episodes, how much real world mythology has crept in. And I mean, of course, it is that typical, hero's journey format that Star Wars typically has been. So no surprise that we are drawing from all kinds of our own cultural stuff. Hey, we got our first comment coming in tonight from Dis Inferno over on YouTube. What if this new galaxy has its own Jedi Order? That is a fantastic question.
What new galaxy?
Did anybody put any thought into that?
Spoilers.
Well, I put a bit of thought into it. Like, maybe we exist within the same universe.
Earth has been referenced a few times in Star Wars.
So that's exactly
we're in this galaxy. They're in that galaxy.
Yeah. And to say, like, to do the Battlestar Galactica thing and go Earth
sure
would water it down for me, but to imply it heavily, I have zero problem with.
I've never had an issue with that idea. All the way back from 1977, the opening crawl a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. It doesn't say the galaxy; it says a galaxy.
Yeah, but I got to tell you, my early theory, without too much on top of it, is that it's the Rakata Empire.
Oh, I'm very interested to hear you suss that out, because I am still undecided, and I don't want to speculate too heavily because I really like the idea that a new galaxy means new Star Wars stories that ostensibly don't have to connect to anything, and we can take off and do all these crazy new things without having to negatively or adversely affect anything that's come before.
Well, it's true.
That excites me.
And it's going to bring new extended meaning to Star Wars, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Like, it could boil down to
the
galaxy
wars
versus galaxy.
The wars, bro. It's the wars.
Yeah.
Galaxy Wars.
Sarah says, hi from the UK. I've watched both episodes of Ahsoka 3 times.
Nice.
Sarah, you are so on top of things. You'll be able to do the show with us here in no time. All right. Shall we let's get this thing rolling. What
did you got a guy in the box tonight, or do you need?
I think so. Hang on a second. Let me see if I got that key here. Oh wait, here it is. Let's try this. Bad Star Wars jokes.
What time is it when an AT-AT steps on your comlink?
What time is it when an AT-AT steps on your comlink?
Far past time to get out of the way.
Time for a new arm.
Time to get a new comlink.
To get a new comlink. I certainly appreciate that. I definitely appreciate that one. All right, that's been another edition of Bad Star Wars Jokes. Now, we talked about this collectively, the three of us, about how we were going to handle this week's writing duties. And Hank, you were the first one to basically say, me, please, because I so wanted to do this.
I'm over the moon. I wanted to do this, what we do with Rebels, for so long that I'm like, I'm doing that now. I mean, let's face it.
Absolutely.
Are we ready?
I'm ready. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Let's do it. I hope that we're fighting buttons here.
Dueling buttons.
I was going to say, I hope that and I've said this before, and because I'm just going to stop touching things because I think we're competing here.
No, I haven't touched a thing yet.
Sorry, it's me. It's me.
Okay.
I hope that our Sunday night, like I've said this before on every review series, and I feel like it's worth repeating. Guys who are fans of the show, folks who are fans of our show, you guys know this. But for any of the people who are just coming to us for the first time, we will never, ever be first. We'll never be first to air with our breakdowns because that's just not our speed. Because I'd like to think that we go about it just such a different way that it warrants the amount of preparation that we put into it. So like in the case of like, I'll be doing episode part 2 tomorrow night. I was still writing my show notes up until last night. So like I am using the time to make sure that we are hitting those lore connections. And I hope that comes across in what we do.
We may not be first to air.
No,
but you still might see something for the first time here.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
I just want to put a sincere thank you to everybody who is here, who has been with us for the last little while. And if you're new to the show, welcome to the family. And Hank, that's it, man. Over to you.
Wicked. So I just thought we'd start with we often just cover the new character busts.
It's totally worth doing.
Yeah.
That.
So that first one looks an awful lot like a clone trooper, and if you think about it, if you squint your eyes a little,
I can see him. I can see him.
I know. We got our Inquisitor. We got an HK-87. We got Hu Yang. We got Sabine's new helmet. Oh, probably old helmet with a new paint job. It looks like we got Chop there.
I believe that is Chopper.
Yeah. Let's not waste any more time. The evil Galactic Republic has fallen, and a new Republic has risen to take its place. However, sinister agents are already at work to undermine the fragile peace. A plot is underway to find the last Imperial Grand Admiral Thrawn and bring him out of exile. Once presumed dead, rumors are spreading of Thrawn's return, which would galvanize the Imperial remnants and start another war. Former Jedi Knight Ahsoka Tano captured one of Thrawn's allies and learned of a secret map which is vital to the enemy's plan. Ahsoka now searches for the map as her prisoner Morgan Elsbeth is transported by the New Republic Defense Force.
How do we feel about the return of the crawl?
I
loved it.
And I love that it's a new crawl. It's
not the same old.
We're okay with not the descending like off into infinity with 100%. The fanfare playing.
It's the same style. I wouldn't even call it a crawl, but it's the same style, sort of narrative bar as the Clone Wars finale.
It gives you enough info to get caught up right to now,
and
where you need to be.
And red. I mean that is the same. Going back to that season 7 narrative, same thing. It was also in red. So is that a Dave thing, or is it something else? A tonal thing,
indicative of some bad stuff's about to happen.
I don't know.
Probably a little bit of column A and B.
Yeah.
A vast star field appears, and we pan to a ship, an MC-30C torpedo frigate for all you real nerds out there.
That's me.
Passing beneath and away the camera, invoking an inverted version of the opening of A New Hope. Its 11 engines glowing with blue energy. On board the stark white bridge, typical of Mon Cal design, several New Republic officers go about their duty. A human captain with white hair and a goatee sits astride the command chair. A shiny turquoise protocol droid reports that the ship has entered the sector, and we get a C-3PO, in front of the screen from Empire there.
Very much.
Just the little nods. But to the crew's surprise, it's not Home One, who they were expecting, more than in a few minutes. The captain asks the comms officer to hail them, and I get Star Trek vibes. Like, it's just
We've got a
Star Trek
command crew on the bridge doing bridge stuff,
right? Hailing, I mean, sure, it's just as much maybe Farscape or Battlestar Galactica as well, but it's just the terseness and the military, it's tonally, it's very Star Trek. I kind of dig
it. Could be any Navy of anywhere.
Yeah.
And it's not
really
like previously they would have dialed in on this. Like the most we saw was in Jedi when they're like, check their clearance codes.
That's right.
Funny we never
comes
get
up
to again
too.
like rhyming stanzas.
Yeah. The comms officer reports, quite surprisingly, that the incoming transmission says that the visitors are Jedi. The captain is naturally suspicious, and he says he's going to call their bluff. Whoever it is bluff, and he instructs the first officer to have a security detail join him in the hangar bay. He then gives the bridge to the first officer, and there we have
I just want to say that line takes some of the stuff away from, you know, the average citizen, how much the Empire put into the propaganda machine,
right,
so that the average citizen in just such a short period of time became completely ignorant that the Jedi even existed. Like they were just this ancient legend. Suddenly that doesn't seem the case anymore.
Even ostensibly you're in the same military and you would know about Luke Skywalker. It's still like,
you would think,
right? So how much of that history was taught in that 20-year period before the collapse of the Empire? Yeah,
we don't know how long Luke stayed with the Alliance.
No, that's right. An Ada class Republic shuttle approaches, and it's got modified engines like we talked about in our review of the.
For sure, it does. Yeah,
of the trailer, but I just threw in a little Clone Wars version of the Ada class there to look as a comparison. Also, the Emperor had his personal shuttle was a version of this, modified version of this too.
I'm decided now, and maybe it doesn't need to be talked about too much, but I am decided. When we did the trailer breakdown, I thought that this shuttle was more akin to the Emperor's personal shuttle, but for sure the wings are red. They're worn and battered, as all things in Star Wars are, but it's definitely red, and I think this is supposed to be basically the stock version.
Yeah, and you can see on the Emperor's shuttle, like it's much more bulky around the frame, and this thing is much leaner. And that round nose for sure. The ship lands, and the captain and the security detail await the occupants in formation. The ramp lowers, and the classic off-gassing of white vapor appears as two dark, hooded, and cloaked figures descend the ramp, a large male and a diminutive female. The male speaks. "Thank you for welcoming us on board, Captain." "Hail," the captain qualifies. Portrayed by actor Mark Rolston, you might have seen him in films like Shawshank Redemption, Aliens. He was Private Drake way back in Aliens.
Yeah, Drake.
He's done tons of voice acting credits, including Norman Osborn in the new Spider-Man video games.
Nice.
Maybe Hale is a nod to another skipper, Alan Hale from the SS Minnow, Gilligan's Island fame. I'm probably reaching on that one. He finds it strange,
little buddy.
If the Mon Cal guy's name was Gilligan, I would have went for it. He finds it strange that a Jedi would be around after all this time. To which the larger cloaked man replies, "Our existence remains a mystery to most, Captain Hale." And
he's not lying.
Yeah, so I start to think a little bit sort of meta, and I'm like, how old is Balin? So he's got gray hair, and if we've always kind of had the humans at least track with us. Age, so I'd put him like in the real Ray, God rest his soul. It was 58 when he died. So he's 56, 57 while they're filming this. So I put him there between 55 and 60. So 9 ABY, maybe even 10 ABY. And I'll tell you why in a little bit, why I think it's 10 ABY. It's roughly 30 years after the Clone Wars. So if he's 55 to 60, he was 25 to 30 at the end of the Clone Wars.
Sure.
Right there with Anakin, like a peer of Anakin Skywalker, which may explain some stuff that we're going to get to see probably third episode. The false Jedi goes to step around and is stopped by Hale's outstretched hand. The captain tells him he doesn't buy it. They put on a good show, but they're no Jedi. Instead, calling him Imperial trash, who's overconfident and pushed his luck too far. A quick moment to talk about Ray Stevenson, who's amazing in Rome, amazing in the Punisher War Journal, and dear to our hearts, Star Wars, because this isn't his first Star Wars role. He was the voice of Gar Saxon for.
That's right, yeah.
In Clone Wars.
I don't want to gush about Ray. I do actually want to gush about Ray.
Yeah.
Some of the online chatter, and I wholeheartedly agree with this. If I had to pick out an MVP for this episode in terms of acting ability, it's Ray. And for the second episode as well. It's just, he doesn't get a lot of dialogue in this episode, but come episode 2, oh my God,
And he's doing
his
a different
performance is
thing.
so good.
He's kind of doing a different thing in Rome, and especially a different thing in The Punisher. And voice acting, that it comes across as a good actor, like your voice work. Actually, you can tell the difference, right? But I never really knew him to have this presence. Like he just oozes charisma.
Yep.
And I based on that David Filoni sort of interview where he had said the orange sabers mean something, and things are not necessarily what they seem. I'm not sure. I think that she might be more evil than he is.
Well, I think you might be right on that.
Yeah.
I think
that she is Ivana Sakno.
Ivana Sakno,
Ivana Sakno, who I don't know a lot about. She has 7 or 8 acting credits. She's been in a few things. I think she was in High Fidelity. But I'm just they don't name her. I know we all know from the metaverse.
That's right. Yeah.
It's Shin Hattie. But I try hard not to name them until they actually show up narratively.
They don't get only. I don't even think her name is uttered once in the entire episode.
No, not at her name. Not at all.
Yeah.
Balin twice. So once they picked that up, I had to go back and change my notes because I was just calling them by name.
For sure.
And so somebody that it's almost a shame if you could go back and go, I don't want to watch the trailers to these, but I'm drooling for any information I can get, any kind of hints I can get. But if you could do it clean, you actually wouldn't have a clue at this point. So that's kind of
absolutely.
How I tried to do it narratively.
Yeah.
Is it just me, or is like this security detail seem far lacking for 2 Jedi?
Well, the fact that he doesn't buy it, for one thing, that could be, and it's probably pretty standard for a group of 2.
6
just compared to like the security detail that the Empire would have laid out for you.
Oh, sure,
yeah.
A garrison's worth of stormtroopers.
It's an impressive sight. Whereas this is just like 6 guys kind of standing there.
But again,
remember that they're dismantling their fleet,
right?
Yes.
So, and that's exactly what I was going to go to. We've got a New Republic military, which, by the way, these 2 episodes kind of conflict with some of the stuff that was set up for us in the last season of The Mandalorian with the demilitarization, but apparently that's not 100% true. They are downsizing. They're not there yet.
No.
But yes, I agree. 6 armed security officers were probably enough for most people.
Right.
If you just think that they're just a couple of fake dudes with some like plumbing parts strapped to their belts, that's more than enough for that, right?
I'd be a little worried that they actually had an Edda class shuttle, but other than that,
you're flying a 30-year-old shuttle that tracks with with this code that came through, but no, it's neither here nor there.
The captain orders a Mon Cal officer, his name is Jacris, to have the yellow and white astromech droid that's standing there, RD3, to run a scan and identify the 2 false Jedi. To which Balin, I did it there. To which the large man responds, "We will show you our identification." And you almost want to see. You don't need to see that. It's the opposite of that.
It's the inverse of that. It's absolutely the inverse. Yeah.
It's so good. And with a nod from her master, the younger female ignites a blood orange lightsaber and strikes the Mon Cal officer down. Using the force to push 2 more guards, she easily deflects their blaster fire and cuts several more down. The captain draws his blaster, but the large Jedi in black grips it, using the force, and twists it out of his hand as it falls to the deck. "You were right about one thing, Captain," he offers. "We are no Jedi." And he runs the captain through with his own similarly colored blade. And I'm sure that the captain is fine, just like everybody else that gets.
Oh no! The biological breakdown. He hit some major organs here. So
the biological breakdown. We need to post that in the chat because.
Is there a point? I don't know. Did you set something up to talk about this?
Not really.
Neither did
because I just think it's tongue in cheek. Like,
do you want to just get it out for the purposes? I mean, everybody else is talking about it.
So actually, I mean. I guess there's a lot of memes running around how pissed off Qui-Gon Jinn would be that all these people. Now, this guy looks like he's taking it right through the heart. So I got no problem with that.
Argue with that.
Also, if we want to get into like role playing terms, this guy is an NPC with no hit points.
That's right. He's not meant to survive.
When you stab a 10th level character like Sabine Wren, oops.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Well,
she's got plenty of hit points to deal with that.
I think if we are going to be outraged, and I mean, even some of the bigger voices in the Star Wars community, I don't want to name names, but like who would say, while Darth Maul, he just clung to the dark side, and he had the dark side. And I don't care if you transect a body in half, it stops working, force or not. So if we're going to be outraged that people are surviving, and let's be clear, stabs, not slashes,
stabs with a cauterizing item,
then we need to be way more outraged at the fact that Maul, who is a fan favorite character, has survived as long as he has.
I mean, guys are kissing their sisters. What really is our fandom here?
Really?
Well, come on. When they sliced him in half, they cauterized him. He wasn't bleeding out.
Well, funny, he could survive that, but then he meets Obi-Wan in the middle of the desert, and
it's all over.
And there's nothing. There's not even, you'd not even know he was touched.
It certainly wouldn't work the other way. Somewhere around the galaxy, Darth Maul's legs are running around,
full of hate.
Full of hate.
They're still at the bottom of the palace at Theed. I'm
not even sure what slide we're on anymore. This is awesome. Back on the bridge, bathed in the crimson red of battle stations, an officer informs the first officer that 2 assailants have killed the captain and have split up on board the ship. The security officer hands her a blaster. The bridge door opens with a whoosh, and the younger false Jedi enters, blocking the first officer's attempts to hit her with the blaster. The Force wielder makes quick work of the bridge crew.
I want to point that out. That actually is pretty cool. That the bridge, the command crew, nobody's armed. The weapons are locked up.
Yeah,
that is such a it's a very small nod, but it is such a realistic depiction of. You wouldn't walk around with your sidearm on the ship. It's
trained to do it. She actually doesn't even look at the officer. She actually doesn't break sort of eye contact with the door as she takes the weapon. Yeah, it's kind of cool. Using where are we?
Just killed the bridge.
There it is.
That's right.
In another section of the ship, the imposing black cloaked figure deflects the blaster fire of the defenders back at them, wielding a saber two-handed, tossing people around with the Force, and even snapping the neck of a security officer as he hoists into the air with his abilities. It invokes the scene with Vader from the end of Rogue One. And he's so wide. Like, I mean, I know he's a big dude.
He's big, all right.
He's so wide. He cuts such an imposing swath, if you will.
Yeah, I could totally see him being a recurrent villain. Unfortunately, that will not happen. But like, he just is presence. I just don't know how else to say it.
Yeah, I know it's tragic. Yeah, absolutely. Clearing the hall of opponents, he pauses in front of a round cell door. Using the Force, he manipulates a scomp link, and the door slides open, revealing a prisoner inside. It's not the first time we've ever actually, because even Jedi are always like, R2, hack that terminal. I don't think I've ever seen a Jedi.
Just like opening the door. We never see any controls get activated. The door just opens.
Yeah. So he his mind is inside making those connections. It's really cool. We see a few new uses of the Force throughout these episodes, actually. It's Morgan Elsbeth. She's wearing a yellow prisoner's jumpsuit with numerical designations on the chest. She remarks that Balin, finally, you are true to your word. And he replies flatly that he's well paid for it, Lady Morgan, and offers her hand to escort her from the cell. Chivalry is not dead, even if everyone else on the ship is. And that line, I'm paid well for it, lets me really know that there's like zero loyalty here beyond money.
Yeah.
He's probably got his own agenda like any sort of Dark Force user would do.
I feel like there's a recurrent theme here. And I mean, let's not forget that for all the video game nerds, Jedi Survivor still isn't that far in the rearview mirror. And Morgan makes a point to say later on that she also is a survivor. And so Balin surviving as a mercenary since the Clone War makes perfect sense to me.
It does make perfect sense.
Sure.
She tells him that the Jedi who captured her seeks the map. Balin asks who this Jedi is, and almost like the money shot, walking down the hall, both sort of staring off into the distance. Elsbeth replies, Ahsoka Tano.
Dun, dun, dun.
And right in the middle, near the beginning, we get our title card, Star Wars Ahsoka, Part 1, Master and Apprentice. And while it's obvious who the title is referring to at first glance, a deeper meaning is always contained in Dave Filoni's titles.
For sure.
We'll definitely get there. Cut to a long shot of a white stone structure in various states of ruin. Tall, broken columns are adorned with geometric carvings. In the distance, a familiar silhouette approaches, and it is indeed Ahsoka Tano, who surveils her surroundings, a gigantic statue of a robed female with most of its head missing, catches her gaze. She enters a circular clearing with an ornate round carving in the center of the floor, obscured by black soil or possibly ash. Ahsoka kneels down and brushes the dirt away from the ancient-looking runic characters carved in a concentric circle around the perimeter. Standing, she contemplates for a second. Then, using the Force, she remotely controls her lightsabers to cut a round hole from beneath her, drawing both sabers back to her hands as she rides the section of stone down to the floor of the dark chamber below. Just cool.
That's straight up,
yeah.
On point for her. That is, or on brand
stuff.
for her. Yeah.
And I started to spend time on the runes, and we'll get into that more at the very end of the episode. But someone trumped me.
Yeah, I sent a link over.
Yeah, I'll admit when I'm licked, and that guy's
me too.
Sharp as F, man. Yeah. I was close. I was very close. You'll see. Anyway, a round room with high ceilings lit from the circular opening above, with a shaft of light reminding me of raiders in the Well of the Souls. She examines the walls. 3 female figures in robes carved into the walls. Of Welsh, what? Of which, I don't know what that word is supposed to be. They stand before stone daises with brass caps. She bends a knee. Eyes closed, hands on the dais, she reaches out with the Force. She begins to turn the top section of stone as black dirt falls from the grooves. Then she aligns the brass cap to match, and we see that this is a viewing disc. Hey, what's up, Valve? Valve's BTW. Nice. And we see that it's a viewing disc, and as it aligns to point to one of the carved figures, a golden orb very near the figure begins to glow along lines of its carved surface. She repeats this process twice more, and once all orbs are aglow, a triangular shaped dais emerges from the center of the room.
The fifth element.
A black 3-sided object on top.
That or the Bad Batch episode where
my
running
gosh,
around with Fee.
Oh yeah,
the temple where she breaks into
all the Zepho tech.
Yeah.
That was a meaty slide. There's so much happening, sort of description wise there. Ahsoka touches the object, and part of it crumbles beneath her hand. It appears to be of the same substance as the dirt or ash that is pervasive about. Crumbling away more of it, she finds a palm-sized golden-colored orb with several intersecting lines across its surface. She raises her communicator and speaks into it. Huang, I found it. And even though we've seen the trailer, you still go,
you do, though. You do.
You really do.
That's actually one aspect of this episode that I liked. We talk about things like superhero fatigue and like the reboot of the reboot of the reboot, and like, I'll use Spider-Man as the example because that's the one that everybody kind of talks about. Right. Do we need the origins of Peter Parker again? I love the fact that it's Hu Yang. They don't tell us anything about the history, the origins. It's either you know or you don't know.
That's right.
And the story just moves forward. He's just there, like as part of the crew.
Yep. He's certainly charming enough that it wouldn't really matter. I
agree.
Get that. You get that stuff.
Absolutely.
Huang, I found it. The response is garbled. So Ahsoka Force jumps out of the hole she has created below the clearing, landing in that superhero stance. My numbers are screwed up, but we're okay. We're all right. A lone red-colored HK-87 assassin droid stands several meters away, wearing a black cape. The droid takes a step towards Ahsoka, who draws her long saber and points it toward him. Come no closer. The droid stops and speaks in a low, deep digital tone. The map. Give it to us. Us? Ahsoka questions the plurality. A second droid appears atop a ruined wall, this one with a gray torso and head. Us. And a third droid opposite the second. Us. A fourth droid drops in behind Ahsoka, and when we pan back, we see a fifth assassin droid has joined the imminent fray. The lead droid strikes its staff on the ground, and it crackles to life with red electric-like energy coursing around it. Ahsoka draws the second blade, and the droid atop the wall leaps down as she begins to move slowly backward towards the hole she had cut in the floor. The 4 droids close in on all sides. The former Padawan close around all 4 sides of the 4 Padawan as the red droid remains still. Closer still, all the HKs wield the Force pikes. As one finally makes its move, breaking the tense standoff, Ahsoka steps backward away from the deadly pike swing and through the hole. Not a second passes as 2 white lightsabers spin quick circles around one of the droid, dropping it to the chamber below. Quickly, she repeats this twice more, removing more combatants from the imminent fight. A lone subordinate droid fires his blaster rifle, an A350 if I'm not mistaken, wildly into the hole. In a single move, Ahsoka leaps high into the air from the chamber below, cleaving the firing droid blaster in two. Blocks the lead aggressive droid attack. Trading blows back and forth, Ahsoka easily parries the oncoming attacks, cleaving the rifle droid in half and beheading the red leader. And as the 3 droids from below begin to climb their way out of the darkness back into the fight, the dismembered head of the leader intones, "Initiate self-destruct protocol."
I want to talk about these droids for a second because clearly these are the same HK assassin droids that we saw in the episode of The Mandalorian where Morgan was introduced. However, boy, they sure don't move like those ones did.
No.
I have never
smoother.
Like, I was thinking about this today, actually. I mean, we've seen some pretty fluid motion from droids. The BX series commando droid comes to mind, but that's animation.
Mm-hmm.
Live action, I mean, not even the Magna Guard droids moved this fluidly, and it looks so good.
There's a lot about this episode in particular, and I haven't watched the second one this style, if you know what I mean. But
yeah,
there's so much that I go, wow, is there ever an animator at the helm?
The
quick scene cuts that are indicative of sort of like a cartoon style thing where you can cut to one line and cut back and not screw the pacing up. There's a lot of that style stuff here. Amazing. And it's, you know, we get wrapped up in the storytelling, which is what we love, and we get wrapped up in this sort of maybe the minutia of the Easter eggs and of the lore and stuff. But we always need to remind ourselves that at its heart, Star Wars was pushing filmmaking boundaries the whole time.
Oh, absolutely. It was.
Every iteration of it has just leapt things forward. And so it makes sense to me that they're going to just push that with every series and episode and season. Yeah, absolutely.
Let's check in on the comments here for a second. Sarah says that Ahsoka fighting the HK-87 droids was epic, but why would a droid wear a cloak?
It's not the first time.
That's an interesting question.
Definitely
I don't know. Is it? Can we say that it's maybe a uniform piece? I mean,
going back, what was it? Grievous's guards, they wore the cloaks.
The Magna Guards, yeah, they did.
And
they did as well.
They continue that in the Disney Infinity game too.
Yeah.
And they sort of like two of the 5 are wearing cloaks, I believe, in this fight. One is a black cloak, one is a gray cloak. So it could be indicative of rank, just like a stormtrooper.
Quite possibly.
It's just a little piece of flair. It looks hella cool. Let's face it.
I kind of thought that the
even a stormtrooper with a cape on Mimban,
the head color maybe was an indicator of position.
Yeah, that's probably true too.
Yeah. Facebook user says
incognito to stay incognito.
I guess,
I think that also
works
fits
for the Jedi, right?
Yeah. I actually thought the same thing about Ahsoka. Why wear a cloak when you're about to get into it? Drop the cloak.
And the fight is so not concerns her that she doesn't.
Yeah.
No, and she's going to do it again later.
This is practice.
That's right.
As the remaining 3 droids take a knee, red-lit thermal detonators slide into the open position in their respective chest cavities. And
is that what we've decided that that's what they are?
I mean, they look a lot like it. They look a little bigger.
I was trying to think, have we seen, I mean, that's the big thing. Because he's got a thermal detonator, and they always shut them off.
Yeah.
Have we seen thermal detonators go off before?
I think we have in
not to
Clone Wars.
This extent.
I don't know what's going on here. These are thermonuclear detonators.
So
yeah, this was like more.
I'm not the only one who kind of thought, wow, that's a lot of explosive.
So there's that initial explosion where you go, whoa, that's a hell of an explosion, and then the fireball that comes off the thing, and you're like, this is a city level. This is an extinction level.
This is Independence Day all over again.
Did they pack the entire droid?
What was IG-11 packing? That
that's what I mean.
11 people.
You know what? Now that you mentioned that, having a thermal detonator implanted in the IG droid chest, that does make more sense now because
it totally tracks. There's also an assassin class droid.
Yeah. Okay, well then I will accept that thermal detonator. It is. TJC checking in. Hello,
what's up, buddy? You're in early tonight. Awesome. And as the remaining three droids take a knee, red-lit thermal detonators slide into the open from their respective chest cavities with a beeping that steadily increases in pitch and speed. Ahsoka runs. She calls aloud to her comlink, "Huang, where are you?" A male voice with electronic undertone replies, "I am above your position now." And a familiar red and white Jedi T6 shuttle sweeps low, lowering its landing gear. He tells her, "Shall I set down?" To which Ahsoka responds, "No, you won't. Keep going."
Yep.
He doesn't understand, but a large explosion rocks the center of the ancient complex, now revealed to be far more vast from a wider perspective. He asks her what she would rather he did, and she tells him, "Just keep flying, lower the ramp." As an incredibly large fireball and shockwave rages towards them, Ahsoka force leaps to the ramp. As the pilot pulls away, the fire wave consuming the ruins. In the T6 cockpit, Ahsoka is greeted by a droid, the all too familiar to Clone Wars fans. The lightsaber smith Huang, designated an MK4 architect droid. The character voice is reprised by none other than David Tennant of Doctor Who fame. She chastises him for keeping too safe a distance, and he tells her that he was following standard Jedi protocol. She reminds him that the order no longer exists, and he tells her he still, however, has his programming. She reminds him in the future that he would stay closer, and he tells her that's the job of a Jedi Padawan learner, which he points out he is not. Ahsoka pulls a sphere from her poncho. "Anyway, I found it."
If that's not a direct callback to the episode title.
Yeah, and there's tons of shots that Huang and Hera take at Ahsoka, throughout. They're like, and he's excellent, excellent actor, Dave Tennant. Excellent comic relief in especially your episode.
Oh yeah,
laugh out loud stuff, and I gained so much respect. Like I always enjoyed him. I'm not a huge Doctor Who nut. I'll watch it when it's on, and enjoyed him especially as the character. But grew an immense amount of respect for the actor when he played the Purple Man, which is one of the few redeeming qualities of the Jessica Jones show. But wow, what a scary dude!
If I can divert from our normal subject for a second, you may also enjoy him in the current the second season just came out.
Yes,
The Good Omen on Prime Video.
Excellent.
He's very good in that.
Yes, sir. We did that already. He tells her that he's still blah 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 blah. I found it. The map he questions. It was right where Morgan said it would be, and he wonders how she got the vile woman to tell the truth. Ahsoka taps him on the chest. "I didn't follow standard Jedi protocol."
All right, let's put the brakes on that for a second.
Yes.
Wait a statement.
Do you think that Ahsoka Tano used traditional interrogation techniques to get this information?
So
she might have
the
started
first time. Let's remember my essentials, and the first slide from my first essentials, Hank's essentials, was a young Ahsoka Tano putting a lightsaber blade to the throat of a Nemoidian that was going through a slow, boring interrogation. So I don't see that as being a problem to her.
I felt like it was more akin to what we saw Kylo Ren do. Rending the information forcibly from somebody's mind,
tearing it out.
I mean, that's possible.
I mean, we don't see it. We don't really know.
That might be a battle because I'm going to point out how powerful I think Morgan Elsbeth might be later on.
Yeah,
like, she was bested in a duel for certain, but she's wielding some pretty serious abilities. And if you start to think like that, we haven't even tapped into what she can do yet in terms of the abilities that Marin has.
That's like off the charts,
right? Like
some of the stuff she can do. Yeah,
she might have had no choice but to force it out of her, right?
Maybe. Oh, maybe. Yeah, no other way.
Yeah. Got one from TJC here.
TJC says it seems like she's a bit of a chip on her shoulder regarding the Jedi, as you would expect her to have after the trial, etc.
You got to think too that she went from child soldier to young adult soldier to rebel. We don't know the exact details of that story. But the rebel spy master to leader of a cell to instrumental in the at Yavin in the battle that takes them down. Even though we watched the Skywalker angle of that, and she's been fighting since she was 13 years old, and probably she's still looking for a fight. Like it's peacetime, but she's looking for She's so willing to find a threat to fight that she's willing to go outside the galaxy to find it.
There's that ambiguity about, I started hearing rumors. Really? When did you start hearing them? Like, how long has this been going on for?
Right. And the purpose. I mean, did the rumors coincide with her giving up on Sabine or whatever happened there? I'm sure.
Right. Yeah. That, again, I said that when we were talking about the trailer, that seemed like the most interesting thing to me was what caused their fallout. And I'm hoping we'll get more of that.
Yeah. A crackle cuts through the air as a voice speaks through the comms channel. Fulcrum, this is Home 1. Do you copy? Over. Huang responds, and I go, Fulcrum! She's still using it. The frequency, that's fantastic.
Funny, I went the other way. Home 1, confirmed.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, both. Come in, Home 1. This is Fulcrum. Over. Fleet Command returns copy. Incoming transmission. Priority 1. There's been an incident. And we're going to switch slides. There she is. Home 1 cruises beside the wounded MC-30 X-Wing fighters on patrol. Flagship of the Rebel Alliance and now Fleet Command of the New Republic, an MC-80A heavy star cruiser. Home 1, whose last live-action appearance was way back in 1983's Return of the Jedi, from which Admiral Akbar orchestrated the attack on the second Death Star. It should be noted that it's featured prominently as the Rebel base after the destruction of Echo Base on Hoth in the modern Marvel comics. There's a ton of Home 1 in the comics.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. As Ahsoka's ship bursts from hyperspace on Home 1's position, Ahsoka gives her ship's designation, T61974, 1974 being the birth year of Dave Filoni. What do we got going on here?
We got a comment coming in here from TJC. He says, you can almost see the scene now where Anakin will be in, showing her training against all the clones to make her faster while she's training Sabine, kind of like a montage.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I can see that happening. There's an interesting point here. I don't know if you want me to bring it up now. I wished we'd got to it sooner, because I would have, if I had watched it a little bit earlier, I would have told you. There's a cool little Easter egg here when Ahsoka rolls up.
Yeah, do it. It's perfect timing. It should. Where am I? Ahsoka's ship bursts out of hyperspace. After docking and disembarking, Ahsoka and Huang are approached by a familiar green-skinned female Twi'lek wearing a brown jacket adorned with a familiar crest. And there you go. You can ghost away, sir.
As the T6 shuttle is coming around, they make a pass by the MC-30. We see all the wreckage and the debris floating. But there's this cool shot from inside the cockpit behind the pilot and co-pilot chairs looking out the viewport. And when the T6 turns square on to the hangar bay, you can see the Ghost sitting on the deck inside the hangar.
That's awesome.
On the right, in the shot that you've got here, Hank, on the right side of Hale, or I guess that's, whoever the officer is there.
Right.
That plating, that is the top hull of the Ghost.
Yeah. And if I hadn't cropped that Hera image, you were saying there she's standing right under it.
When she says, and I don't want to steal your thunder, but when she says,
that's okay, man.
Briefing for you, they turn around and they walk away out of the hangar. They walk right underneath it.
That's fantastic.
Yeah,
I was so focused on the two
I like the way that they purposely obscured it, though. Like, we don't want to give it to you all at once.
Yeah, there's going to be a big
eagle-eyed.
Yeah. This is why
eagle-eyed, you'll see it.
The Phantom 2 is in the trailers and not something else.
Yeah.
Ahsoka greets her, General Syndulla. It's good to see you. And there she is, our first glimpse with Mary Elizabeth Winstead's Hera Syndulla. Hera wishes it were under better circumstances, but it seems they lost Ahsoka's prisoner. Prisoner outbreaks seem to be a real problem in the New Republic. There's Quinn from Mandalorian, the episode The Prisoner, and Moff Gideon, most notably, and now Morgan Elsbeth. Prime pickings. If you want to break out of prison, now's the time to do it, kids. What's his name? Miggs Mayfield was sort of broken out internally.
Well, he was remanded to Marshall Dune.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Quick note about Mary Elizabeth Winstead. I could not have predicted how her performance was going to go. And although I think she may be a little bit too young, because I always think of Hera as being a little bit older.
Yeah.
I cannot tell you how much I think her performance as Hera is far exceeded my expectations. And I know a lot of people are complaining about that. I'm going to talk a little bit more about her tomorrow night when we go through my episode. She has a lot more dialogue and a lot more to do.
Sure.
But she might be my favorite character so far.
Nice. I feel the same way. She hasn't appeared yet, but I feel strongly the same way about someone else. So if we're each championing one of them, we know we're in good hands here.
Excellent.
Hera has prepared a briefing to get Ahsoka up to speed, to which she replies, just like old times. A legacy line, just like old times. Inside a war room, Ahsoka, Hera, and Huang gather around a hollow table with the image of the two false Jedi.
I mean, it could have been that bad, huh?
Hera doesn't know who the pair are, but they took out an entire security detail and scuttled the torpedo frigate. And they seem to have abilities like Ahsoka. The young female in the hollow ignites her blood orange laser sword before the recording is paused once more. Ahsoka notes that these days there are few that can wield the Force. Hera wonders if one of them used to be a Jedi. Ahsoka ponders that thought, asking Huang to make a recording, to make a copy of the recording and run a match on the lightsabers. There you go. You might not know that he has that ability like none other if you weren't a Clone Wars fan, but he has the record of every lightsaber and every Jedi who constructed it in his memory banks going back about 10,000 years. It's really cool.
That's a lot.
That's a very prized memory bank for sure.
TJC wants to point out that, as we may have mentioned, and we have, the Empire was built on corruption, and that corruption remains after the Empire has gone. We talked about this in season 3 of The Mandalorian a lot, especially around the stuff with Pershing, and how it was just sort of like this cancerous sort of like complacency from within that allows so much to happen.
Absolutely. Ahsoka notes that these days there are Ahsoka ponders that sorry guys, Hera questions that what their connection to Elsbeth may be, and Ahsoka posits that she's used mercenaries in the past. She presents the star map to Hera, saying that the day was not a total loss. Ahsoka tells Hera it's the map Morgan Elsbeth has been after, the map to the last missing Imperial Grand Admiral, Thrawn. But weirdly, and this is weird to me, maybe not to the plot, because it never occurred to me that they thought everybody was dead from that incident at the end of Rebels. That actually, as a viewer, it never occurred to me.
That they were alive?
That everybody would think they're dead.
Right up until, and this is kind of funny because it wasn't until we got the first season or the first batch of episodes for Visions and the twins fighting in space. Without a vac suit of any kind, did I ever even think that they could have survived without any,
that's always been my joke. There's no windshield in the thing, and they jump through hyperspace.
For hyperspace without a window.
I don't think I ever once, like, especially when he says, "I can't wait to come home," and we're going to get Ezra in the epilogue. We're going to bring our friend home. It never occurred to me that they might be dead, or that even if it occurred to me that they might be dead, it never occurred to me that the immediate crew, the Spectres, would think that. And so that kind of took me by surprise at first.
Yeah.
Hera thinks Thrawn was killed at the Battle of Lothal. Ahsoka tells her that those reports were unconfirmed and that she's been hearing whispers of his return, which is what led her to the map in the first place. If Thrawn survived, Hera wonders, what about Ezra? Hera wants to see the map, but Huang tells her that they cannot open it. It's locked and the key is elusive. Hera classically quips, "It's never a straight line with you Jedi, is it?" A Mon Calamari officer interrupts the meeting, saying the Defense Council is asking for an update on the situation, and I think the Mon Cala guy behind him might be Akbar.
So other folks have talked about the fellow who passes the message, and I will admit that whoever's doing the voice might be going for an Akbar-esque voice.
Sure.
But that guy's only got one pip. That's not Akbar standing there.
And there's a guy he never turns his back.
Yeah,
but it's Akbar. It's definitely not the guy with the beard in the hangar.
Bearded Mon Cala.
I didn't even point that out. But how aerodynamic is that in the water?
In the water,
aquatic dynamic, I guess.
Ask Momoa's Aquaman.
A Mon Cal officer interrupts the meeting, saying the Defense Council is asking for an update on the situation. Hera stares at her friend a moment. "You know who could help you with this?" Ahsoka does, but isn't sure they'll want to help. Hera assures her that she will for Ezra.
Well, if that doesn't tell you.
The MacGuffin. Ezra MacGuffin. We were treated to a long, wide, establishing shot of capital city on the planet Lothal.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, our first time here in live action. Lothal, the birthplace of the series MacGuffin, Ezra Bridger, and focal point of the entire Rebel series. It looks like in the decade since the fall of the Empire has been kind to the city, and it's grown immensely. A small group stands on a balcony addressing large crowds below. A familiar voice speaks. On this day, several years ago, the Empire was defeated thanks to the heroic efforts of Commander Ezra Bridger, who sacrificed himself to liberate our world. And I didn't catch it like the first 10 times because I'm watching it. And then I'm actually writing the dialogue the last time while I'm doing my notes. And I'm writing the dialogue and I'm like, on this day.
Oh, wow. It's
the anniversary of Ezra and Thrawn leaping with the Purgles.
Funny, I didn't pick up on that until you just said it now.
And I go, so this is my argument that we are 10 years. This is the 10-year anniversary.
Oh, yeah.
Right. I think we've clicked over, and I think this is the 10-year anniversary of that event. Because at first I thought the speech, I was literally just taking it at face value going, oh, we beat the Empire. This is the opposite of Empire Day, which is Ezra's birthday. And I thought that was cool enough. I thought that, but now it's even cooler.
It is cooler.
On this day, several years ago, the Empire was defeated. Our ears do not deceive us. Ryder Rosati stands in front of the center of a small group of finely dressed beings, he himself in a long flowing green cap. They stand before the Rebels mural. Clancy Brown, reprising his role, the animation model looking so much like him anyway. His second Star Wars role, guys. We have a couple multiple.
Actually, this is his 7th, isn't it?
Seventh Star Wars.
Wow. Across animation and video games.
Oh, wow. And video games. Okay, for sure. Wow, you were on the ball, Andy. I didn't realize.
Nicely done, sir. Yeah.
For sure, I knew he was Arduros. Got his horns clipped in the Mandalorian.
Right. Yep. It's his second live action. Yeah,
second live action.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And once again, a small part of my heart breaks, and not taking anything away from anyone because it's beautiful. Everything I love, it's beautiful. But Ashley Eckstein, just a small. When I see a character jump from live action and play the same character, I go, what could have been.
Okay, that's hard. Okay, it is hard not to.
Yeah, I'm sure any day there'll be a YouTube video where they've put the original voices on it.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
Clancy Brown, and I wrote, "Eee." Once and future governor of Lothal, he was instrumental throughout the Rebel series in aiding the heroes throughout their adventures. Most exceptionally, when he was able to fool Imperial assigned Governor Price, leading directly to a decisive victory for the rebellion. While not a Spectre, he could easily be on that mural. The monument we dedicate here today stands in recognition of Commander Bridger and the Rebel leaders who fought so valiantly on our behalf. May their courage and commitment never be forgotten. He steps aside, reviewing the full mural.
One, I love the fact that the mural is essentially on wheels.
Yeah,
we can wheel it out to the door and show it off, and then roll it back to the back wall. I had no idea that it was that. Where the heck was this mural painted in the first place? Do we know? Do we actually know?
I'd have to go check it out, but I thought it was at ground level.
Yeah.
And near or part of where their Rebel base, where their base was, where they hung out, not in the city necessarily. That's a great question. If anybody else out there knows,
I've always sort of wondered about that because in the epilogue, I just took it as wrote that it was on the wall in whatever building that was, and here we are, and we see that's broken, Duracrete or concrete. Yeah, it's broken in sections and it's wheeled in and out. The next thing I want to talk about: did the Spectres? Because it's so early on in the rebellion, the formal alliance to restore the Republic didn't exist during Rebels.
Not at all.
Ezra was given the rank of commander. Was that an honorific?
No, he's actually called Commander Bridger in the last couple of episodes.
So it had to be.
As soon as they link up with the Masasi Temple,
they're formally.
Because Kanan makes a line. I don't want to get into too much, but Kanan drops the line basically like, "I want to go back to the way it was." And Hera's like,
that's real. You are right.
We can't
You're
do
right.
that now. We're too deep into this. Yeah, they're folded right into the Massassi group.
Yeah.
That's why
I had forgotten about that.
Behind the scenes, low key, Hera's fighting at the battle of the Death Star 1 and 2.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, sorry. Thank you for reminding me of that.
Revealing the mural in full view. Here to say a few words is one of those rebel leaders. He gestures behind him. Sabine Wren. You can acutely hear the crickets over the top of the applause as no one steps forward. He repeats her name. Sabine Wren. Still nothing.
It's a good thing they didn't have trumpeters.
Frustrated, Azadi approaches a man beside him and asks, "Where is she?" The man tells him she was just here. Ryder tells the man to get out there and say something, shoving the man forward to the front of the platform. He introduces the man as Senator Jai Kell, and we get a twofer cameo. Jai Kell first appeared in the Rebels episode Breaking Ranks, where he was a member of the Junior Imperial Academy, where Ezra Bridger infiltrated and then later escaped from. Kell escaped along with Bridger and was thought to be force sensitive by the underlings of the Grand Inquisitor. Later, he became a prominent member of the Lethal Resistance, aiding Ryder Rosati and the Ghost Crew on many key missions. He's played, he's not, I don't have his name here. I thought I did. Oh, that's horrible.
That's okay.
We'll put it in the. It is not Rufio from the the voice of Rufio. Oh, I apologize.
It's not Rufio.
It's the guy that voiced like Donnie Brasco or something. His name is. Sorry, screwing that up too. Ryder speaks quietly into a comm device, wanting a full perimeter sweep. Find Sabine Wren.
Vinnie Thomas.
Vinnie Thomas. There you go. Thanks for the save, man.
Nope, no problem.
Slide 19. Oh, a little side by side of the mural from the live action animation. I know we've touched on this. I just wanted to put it up and let everybody just have a look.
That it is slightly different in live action than
subtle differences. Yeah. And so like the live action version is a cartoonized version of the cartoon version, which is a cartoonized version of the style that the anime, it's actually pretty deep, right? Like, there's some notable changes. They've sort of given Hera more humanistic sort of facial features as opposed to like the animated style Twi'leks.
Oh yeah, I mean nobody's got the she doesn't have the giant anime eyes.
Anime eyes. And Zeb looks downright goofy. He does. I gotta admit it. Downright goofy.
It's the truth though.
On the long straight highway from the capital, familiar to Rebels fans is the first place the Ghost Crew encounters Ezra when he steals a crate of equipment and instigates a speeder bike chase. Natasha Liu Bordizzo's Sabine Wren tears down the highway from the city on a custom painted speeder bike, a custom painted head riding helmet on her head featuring the Aurebesh alphanumeric B3B. Her always colorfully dyed hair now quite long. She's perfect. A driving rock song with the lyrics that I think might be in Hades makes the scene kick. It reminds me of Sabotage from the Beastie Boys and the way it was used in the first J.J. Abrams Star Trek.
Immediately thought of like, to me, it could have been like Japanese rock.
Yeah.
It has that.
It's awesome.
It's reminiscent of, not to go back and well, of course I mean to, going back to Jedi Survivor in the cantina.
Oh, yeah.
With there's so much music in there that you can feed the droid.
It's great, actually.
It is so. Have we ever had? I mean, there's Jedi rocks, but that's not really a rock song.
There's a rock song in Andor playing in the background on the beach.
It's kind of a.
Yeah, it was like a Miami Vice,
like a synthwave kind of thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But this is like straight up like, oh wow, this is an actual rock song.
It reminds me of Sabotage a lot, actually. It really does.
You get the rock band in the shorts.
Oh, that's right.
The little
that's right in Visions,
where Jabba the Hutt.
Oh no, not in Vision. In Visions. Part 2. Yeah, part 2.
Yeah, there is a rock song in Rebels. They are listening to the person's right. There's a rock song in Rebels when they're just listening to it on like a radio while they're doing some repairs.
Oh, right.
Yeah. I don't know who you are, their Facebook user, but awesome. Nice catch.
Well done.
Pursued by a pair of E-Wing fighters, guys, E-Wings. We covered these in the trailer, but E-Wings. wicked. They look like vipers from Battlestar Galactica a lot.
I wonder if that's part of the lawsuit.
There's a couple going on.
Not to drag that up
Yeah,
again.
yeah. The lead pilot addresses her. This is Spectre 2-1. He repeats his call sign. Spectre 2-1, come in, Commander Wren. Do you copy? And I go, the Spectres are up to 21.
21 units.
He's the captain, so there's at least 22 of them. And I'm like,
Yeah.
we're downsizing the military, but there's a ton of Spectres. I also, it's not lost on me that they're wearing blue flight suits, just like Zeb's. Zeb might still be a Spectre pilot.
I just kind of wondered if that, I mean, that doesn't make sense to me in this. Well, it does. We got Carson Teva, who's in orange, Trapper Wolf, who's in orange, typical, callback to the rebellion era. But
and I think that's just indicative of classic pilots,
are we getting the Star Trek thing, like every couple of seasons we alter the uniforms to sort of show the passage of time?
So in Squadrons, which I played the crap out of on VR,
the
pilots of Phoenix Squadron in that all had different uniform, different colors.
That doesn't surprise me. I mean, even in Return of the Jedi, I always like, the red pilot suit, that's the B-wing pilot, and the orange one, that's the X-wing pilot. The green suit, that's the A-wing pilot.
Right.
So
I mean, it's quite possible.
It is a nice evolution, though. I do like it.
Mm-hmm.
They know one another, and Sabine asks, "What do you want, Porter?" Captain Porter replies that Governor Azadi is looking for her, that she's missing the ceremony. Ever flippant, the Mandalorian responds, "Was that today?" And I think of all, and I agree with your assessment of Hera too. It's pretty perfect. Actually, the hologram of Ezra is pretty perfect.
Yeah.
Rosario Dawson, since the moment we saw her back in The Mandalorian, has been perfect. But I think her portrayal, the mannerisms, the facial movements, the tics, the delivery, I think that Natasha might be the most perfect of all.
She's great.
Of all the representations. Great. Yeah, her performance knocks me out of the park, especially her gait and her facial mannerisms.
Yeah, she's really good.
Yeah. He tells her it's a big day for a hero like here, and she tells him he's wrong. She guns the engine and the bike lurches forward. Captain Porter orders his wingmate to land her E-wing on the highway in front of the speeding Spectre 5, continually telling her to stand down, but Sabine isn't slowing. The pilot panics a bit, standing up in her cockpit, opening the canopy. It looks as if Sabine cuts the repulsor controls as her bike slams low to the road, sparking as it slides beneath the parked fighter. Throttling back up, she manages to maintain control as the ass of the bike swerves back and forth. And we get our look at the Kenner R2 model. Porter pulls his fighter up and matches her pace, giving Sabine a nod of respect, which she returns. He veers off, and she heads for the communication tower in the distance, and Ezra's former home. Oh, don't forget the Airbus. All the little street signs on the highway are all the same.
They are okay.
They are all the same, and I was able to get clearer versions after these ones, but I'd already made the slides. One side literally says caption. The other side says Sector 7.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And the note there was, don't forget the Orbesh.
A Homer nod. Oh, nice.
Sector 17.
Yeah.
Go. Sabine enters the room atop the tower. It's cluttered. Its walls painted a bright streak of color, several drawings of stormtrooper heads beside the door with circles and lines through them, denoting a kill count. A white and brown Lothcout greets her, mewing. Yeah,
TJC says, this was a throwback to me to the Fast and Furious when Brian drops his skyline below the truck.
Cool. Not familiar, but excellent reference.
Andy, you're a Fast fan, are you not?
I saw lots of cars go under trucks. Can't go down anymore.
Well, wait, they did go to
definitely
space,
in
right?
the first 7, though. Yeah, they did go to space.
In the first 7.
Definitely that's the best thing I've heard all day. It's simultaneously like I'm an awesome fan, and also it's sort of a jab at the same time. That's fantastic. She kneels down. Sorry, a white and brown Lothcow cat, not a Lothcow. It's a different thing. Greets her, mewing, not mooing. She kneels down to pet it under the chin, and it purrs receptively. After filling a bowl with kibble and feeding the pet, Sabine moves a crate from under a crowded workbench, and as she does so, we can see her Mandalorian helmet peering out from the gunny sack. She places the crate on the bench and begins to sift through its contents, which seem to include a lightsaber wrapped in cloth and a phoenix crest patch still attached to a piece of brown leather. She settles on a holometer, which she places on a small table next to her. She turns on the recording and sits in front of it. A small, full figure of Ezra Bridger, played by Amon Isfandi, springs to life. Hey, Sabine. And his portrayal, like his man, like the rubbing of the head.
He's good too.
His gait, excellent stuff.
Yeah, he's good.
Stuff. Hey, Sabine. And this is also an alternate recording from what we got in Rebels. I just like the point. That's why I'm going to read it word for word, because it's like a personal message to her that we didn't get. Hey, Sabine, I'm sorry for disappearing on you. I made this recording because more than the others, I need you to understand. As a Jedi, sometimes you have to make decisions no one else can. So that's what I did to defeat Thrawn. We've been through a lot. We grew up together in this rebellion. We're not really family, but you're like a sister to me, which is trashing all this shit.
I think we all kind of go, what?
I thought they were going to do it.
Well, it is Star Wars.
It is, and it's...
You're like a sister to me.
I know your fight isn't over, and I won't be there to help you, but I'm counting on you to see this through. May the Force be with you. Sabine stares wistfully at the now frozen image.
It's not the first time we've got a Lothcat in live action, but
no, definitely not.
The first time we saw one, this one is animatronic.
Animatronic, and it is beautiful the way it moves.
If you managed to get down to Fan Expo this weekend, they did have one on display.
I saw that.
And it was exquisite.
Anybody who's over a certain age, probably, and maybe it's just me because we had a set of these, but when she was giving the cat the kibble, I'm like, oh, vintage Tupperware measuring cup.
Yeah, totally. There's a few. That orb is a like a Rubik's Cube ball. I didn't actually get a slide of it, but
I turned to my wife when we were watching. I'm like, oh, Rubik's ball.
Yeah. Ahsoka's cup is a Rubbermaid. We'll get there too. Wipe transition. Just totally like I wasn't paying attention to that stuff, and this one was like striking. This wipe was great. Wipe transition to the now completely destroyed stone complex that Ahsoka nearly escaped from. The young female false Jedi moves slowly, deliberately through the area, intently studying her surroundings, pausing and asks her companion, "What was this place?" Morgan Elsbeth answers, her now garbed in her all red dress with high collar and padded shoulders, never turns to face the girl. An ancient temple built by my ancestors, the Night Sisters of Dathomir, and what if you got the button there? Nailed it.
Wait, I do.
You do?
Nailed it.
Yeah, excellent.
Or would you like this one?
Nailed it.
Both. That's fantastic. The young lady stares hard at Elsbeth. You're a witch. Morgan turns to look at her finally, just over her shoulder, correcting her. A survivor. Balin and another person emerge from the deep fog and smoke, the second man clad head to toe in black armor with a long flowing black cape. This character is certainly dressed as an Imperial Inquisitor, even carrying the hilt of a double-bladed spinning lightsaber on his back.
It looks like he's carrying something else, and it's really prominent in this image, and we see it again a couple more times in the next episode. But now he could just be doing the typical villain flex. We've seen characters like Norman Osborn in the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies stand like that.
Yes.
But that is an unnatural stance.
Yes.
That looks like somebody who's compensating for an injury.
Oh, maybe.
The way that, he's got that like hip jutted out and kind of like leaning back 3/4. Like, are you arching your back for the camera? What are you doing?
That could be his hero pose.
Maybe it's just that. And maybe it's the villain pose. I don't know.
Balin tells Elsbeth that there isn't much left, thinking that either the Jedi has the map or it's vaporized. The Night Sister concentrates as ethereal music starts to play. The Dark Apprentice steps forward, aggressively trained on Elsbeth. Elsbeth speaks. She has it. So this is one, like, she's using the Force here, or Force-based witchcraft here. The music really like hones in on
it. It really does, yeah. And
the internet is absolutely in love with Ivana Sacco in this. If you guys have been on the social media, it's kind of nuts how everybody's like just gushing over her. And she's so intense. Like you could feel there's like this legit, like she doesn't trust Elsbeth. She like, it's almost like there's hate in her eyes. Like it's a really intense, hard stare.
Maybe this is a better term. Contempt.
Oh, it's something like a jealous power, or absolutely. She has it, she states positively. Baylan tells her she's lucky if Ahsoka does have it, but she returns that it's not luck, but fate that has decided their next move.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, there it is. That's
there
our
it is.
first.
That's on the nose.
On the
Fate.
nose. And there's actually in 5 seconds, there's the other end of that.
Yeah.
Literally the other side of that. She orders Baylan to send his apprentice to Lothal, and she walks into the fog briskly. The apprentice moves to stand beside her master, eyes ever steely on Morgan Elsbeth. She questions the order, but Baylan tells her to obey. But she wants to know what thread, and there's the word, what thread is she spinning? Why Lothal? And so you have the threads of fate already. And before it's even more explicitly spelled out in your episode. Why Lothal? The master tells her it's not witchcraft, that the former apprentice of Ahsoka Tano is there. You're seeking Sabine Wren. I find it weird a little bit, probably plot armor, that they know this fact. That she goes from not being able to name the Jedi in... and maybe her spies have done that kind of research maybe. To figure that out. But you would think that maybe a Jedi who's not supposed to exist having a secret Padawan might not be like public knowledge to mysterious bad guys who don't get out much. So
maybe you wonder if, like, in turning her over to the New Republic, that somebody, officer knew her. Oh, Commander Tano.
And there's always the idea too that if Ahsoka did use the Force to probe her mind, they may have had an exchange of information.
Sure, a little more mind meldy.
It's possible.
Mind melting.
Yeah. She wants to know why Lothal, Sabine Wren, and a creepy, slight smile spreads across the face of the false Jedi Padawan's face. A little action.
There is an interesting idea here, and I don't have anything to back it up except my memory of this. But go back one slide, Hank.
Can do.
Okay, just for a second, because talking about this whole, like, how did Ahsoka get the information, and we've, was it typical interrogation technique? Was it something else? But I mean, take a look at Morgan's hair. She's a lot grayer than she was the last time we saw her. In the episode of The Mandalorian, and there isn't a whole lot of time transpired between that episode and now.
Yeah, maybe a year tops. That's what I'm.
Maybe the old stirring of the brain had a physiological effect on her.
That's a neat thought for sure, because it can do that in real life.
Yeah,
I had thought they grayed her up or whited her up because she wasn't. Now it's revealed she's a Night Sister, and she wasn't quite Night Sister-y enough before.
Oh, maybe.
And I just thought it was just like a sort of aesthetic choice to let's physically Night Sister her up a little more.
I think I actually prefer that.
Yeah.
Well, when you're in prison, they don't really give you access to hair dye to keep up.
Maybe that's true.
Yeah.
Maybe that's true. At dawn, Sabine tosses and turns in bed, surrounded by Ezra's belongings, including the scout trooper helmet she'd painted for him. His last words ring in her head as she jolts awake. Ezra. This is the first time we actually see Sabine using the Force, as I believe she's passively in her sleep, communicating with it, and its will that the road back to Ezra is at hand. The approach of the roaring ship engines and an incoming proximity alert draw Sabine onto the gantry as a familiar T6 soars overhead towards the city, mirroring two scenes from Rebels blended. The opening stanza of Rebels Season 1, Episode 1, we have Ezra Bridger standing right exactly where she is, his journey to become a Jedi, just like Sabine, about to begin. The second is in Ahsoka's return in the Rebels epilogue.
Yeah, which is exactly that, with the T6 and a pair of X-Wings.
X-Wings, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's why it's kind of like two just jammed together. Docked right off the platform where the mural is being commemorated is Ahsoka's ship. She's speaking with Ryder Azadi. Huang is present. Sabine approaches. Ryder chastises her. You missed the ceremony. Sabine quips again. Was that yesterday? She tells her that she was missed and everyone was there. Not everyone, she replies coldly. And I think she's talking about a lot with this line. She's not there emotionally. Kanan isn't there and can never be there again. Maybe that's the same way she feels about Ezra.
Oh, maybe.
He's not there for obvious reasons. But I think more prominently, Ahsoka wasn't there. And I think that's like big picture stuff. And I think we're about to see the fact that she resents Ahsoka not being there.
That's the
That's about
not
to play
everybody
out.
reference we're thinking.
Yeah, I mean, I think it means a lot to her when she says that.
I
think it
automatically
most
went
prominently
to
means
Ezra that
Yeah.
not everybody, meaning Ezra wasn't here.
right. But
But-
and while she laments that the most, there's this personal lament that she has for Ahsoka here. So, and I think we're about to see that play out.
TJC has some thoughts about Morgan Elsbeth. He says maybe she's Mother Talzin in disguise, like she was part of Maul for a time in the cartoon.
I mean, anything's possible. They have access to the witch ghosts, if you will, just like the
It's
Force ghosts.
I wonder if she knows Sabine Wren's got experience with the Night Sister ghosts. Like been possessed by them once.
The Night Sisters seem to have this real familial quality about them, and so you take a character like Marin, for sure they all know who Mother Talzin was. Do we have an in-canon explanation for what happened to them? Because by the time we get to Cal and Marin is essentially, she thinks she's it.
Yeah, aren't they? Isn't it as a result of what Dooku does in the Clone Wars?
I thought so.
That's 100% it. Yeah, the planet was raised in the Clone Wars.
Right. So just like the Jedi, there are very few Night Sisters.
And also, just like the Jedi, and I sort of glanced over it, but her reference of the Night Sisters temple being a stronghold, thousands of maybe that's even coming up in Ahsoka's. Actually, never mind. I know where it is.
No, she mentioned it at the.
She does mention it, but Ahsoka mentions it in detail in the conversation.
That's right. Yeah, you're right.
Actually,
yes.
She and Huang have a funny reunion moment. She jokes that he's still in one piece, and he comes back that he's still 75% real parts. It suggests to me that the Ahsoka Master Sabine Padawan Huang guy in the chair dynamic went on for some time.
I love that line.
Yeah,
and still 75% original parts.
The palpable awkwardness of the situation draws Huang and Ryder to take their leave, the latter telling Sabine, "You're going to want to hear what she has to say." The pair stare at each other for a long moment. Ahsoka steps forward, bridging the gap. Pulling a star map orb from her poncho and holding it aloft, she says plainly, "I think I know how to find Ezra." Sabine takes the orb and studies it, her mind racing at the thoughts of finding her lost friend. Doop, doop, doop. Aboard the T6, Sabine reminisces beside her old bunk, a mural sketched onto the wall of Loth Cats and Chop. It's unfinished, just like her training. As Ahsoka approaches Sabine and asks if she really thinks Ezra is still out there, she says that nothing is certain. However, our enemy is actively seeking Thrawn, which is what led me to the map. She tells Sabine that she found the map on a planet named Arcana. That's a little on the nose. And a former stronghold of the Witches of Dathomir thousands of years ago. So there's another sort of parallel between the Night Sisters and the Jedi existing for thousands of years. This is not like yesterday's tradition, for sure.
Yeah, they spread out. They didn't just stick to one planet.
That was the other thing. That was, I think, the thing that got me the most. It was like, oh, they had a presence, beyond Dathomir.
Yeah, absolutely. Witches, great. Sabine remarks. Just keeps getting more exciting. A round table with and seats emerge from the center of the floor, and Sabine takes a seat studying the orb with her artist's eye. She thinks there must be a key to reading the orb. Nobody would make a map that you couldn't read. Ahsoka displays a scan of the ruins where the chamber was located. Sabine studies it for a moment, clearly distracted by the situation. Sabine asks where Ahsoka's been staying, and the Jedi tells her that the ship is just fine, and she goes where she's needed. Sabine shoots back, "Not always." And that's why I say that last line was about her too.
Yeah.
Ahsoka remarks that Sabine never made things easy, but Sabine throws it back at her again. "Neither did you, Master." And it's unequivocal now.
Oh, yeah.
Ahsoka tells her that there's nothing easy about being a Jedi, and Sabine thinks then she would have made a good one, and Ahsoka agrees. Huang appears to cut the tension with an update, which Ahsoka dismisses, but Sabine encourages. Sabine wants a copy of the scan and to take the map somewhere where she can think clearly. Ahsoka forbids it, stating that the threat of a new war is too great. And this is actually might be one of my favorite moments, and I don't know if I've got it written in this slide. It might be in the next slide, but coming up, it's sort of my favorite behind-the-scenes moment. Ahsoka accompanies the droid to an adjacent room where he has two lightsaber hilts on holo display. They quip a bit about the reunion, but Ahsoka wants to get to business. Patience, the droid reminds her. He can only identify one of the sabers, but definitely Jedi design. In fact, only one lightsaber of this particular design has been recorded in the last 500 years. It belonged to Baylan Skoll, who disappeared at the end of the Clone Wars, like so many other Jedi. The professor thinks that this is a master and apprentice, and they will be formidable adversaries for Ahsoka alone. Perhaps she won't be alone for long, ever hinting at bringing Ahsoka back into the fold. Heading back to the ship center room to tell Sabine the news, she finds the table receded back into the floor, and Sabine nowhere in sight.
I was going to say, anybody who's played Jedi Survivor, particularly the new one, should recognize pretty much most of the parts on both of those lightsabers.
Yeah. You get to play around like that. Or if you've been to Galaxy's Edge, I hear that's a pretty cool dealio. Sabine races home on her bike. A smirk crosses her face at having gotten over on her former master. And as I'm sure it does both Force ghosts of Obi-Wan and Anakin gut laughing at Ahsoka having to endure a Padawan who won't listen. That's my favorite moment of the whole episode. In my headcanon, they're both just bending over laughing at her. Going, look who's not listening now. A small silver probe droid hovers above a bridge sign, and it returns to its hooded master in a scene so very indicative of Maul and the Phantom Menace.
I mean, if the audio cues weren't.
It's so good. It's so good. And it's the wrong side, and like it's just mirror. Yeah. It's so good. It is the young false Jedi, and she's flanked by 2 HK-87 assassins. Night has fallen, and Sabine still sits in front of the holo recording, turning the map over in her hands. Back aboard the T6, Ahsoka and Huang speak with Hera via holo. Ahsoka doesn't think coming to Sabine was a good idea, angry that Sabine would disobey her and take the map off the ship. Hera understands that Sabine could be difficult, but that she's the best chance to read the map. Ahsoka knows Hera is right, but wishes she wasn't so bullish and stubborn. Hera ever quick to remind her she is Mandalorian, betting that Ahsoka was no picnic for her own master. Ahsoka gets stoic, saying that she walked away from Anakin and the Jedi before her training was complete, just like she walked away from Sabine. Hera tries to assure her, telling her that she must have had reasons, and Ahsoka ponders deeply. Sometimes the right reasons have the wrong consequences. What do we do then? That's some heavy stuff too, actually.
Yeah.
Further into the evening, Sabine paces around the room, leaning against the wall, becoming frustrated, tired. She now studies a holo of the interior of the chamber where Ahsoka found the map. She contemplates the details of the image aloud. 3 figures, 3 faces, and then something dawns on her. She quickly walks over to the table, picking up the orb and examining the center of the holo image. At the base of the cavern, removing details with a scanner, she notices a trillium-shaped object on the floor of the temple. And she finds a triangle with an arrow in it, and it lines it up with the orb with that marking. Turning the concentric circles to match the shape on the diagram like a Rubik's Cube, the orb begins to glow and emits a small galaxy of blue light floating in her hand. A path... Am I on the wrong... What happened there? I missed a whole slide.
I don't know. That's okay. Just stick with the other one. It's great.
Okay. Yeah. Perfect. I missed a whole slide. Well,
you got the payoff right there. She gets
I
it.
do
open.
have the payoff. She gets it open. A blue light floating in her hand. A path of energy streaks out to a distant galaxy, projected a few feet from the original, pointing to a specific world inside that galaxy. Sabine has unlocked the star map, and now Hank knows why his slides were off by 1 number.
There you go.
And we've just caught up. Just a thought here. A lot of these images line up with stuff from 2002's Disney animation feature Treasure Planet. And while I know orbs that turn out to be holographic galactic maps pointing to secret locations is an everyday occurrence, I can only hope that, like the animated movie's plot, the protagonist may have to enlist the help of a pirate to get their destination.
We have been
Hondo and Naka.
Like, have we not been like every live action series that has come out in the era of The Mandalorian? We've always been like, hey, it's your old pal Hondo.
It's so bad.
Jedi. While we're here at this point, I'm just going to point out, because you can actually see it in the top image with Sabine holding onto it. Mm-hmm. That trillium shape, that's actually called the triquetra. And the triquetra, that's another image that is rife through Celtic and Norse mythology.
Yes,
Let's
sir.
not forget both Balin and Shin are both references to Norse mythology, as are the Loth Wolves and a
Mhm.
whole bunch of the other stuff that Dave likes to throw at us.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
here's yet another one with the triquetra.
Mm-hmm. And probably drawing from the animation, being an animated director, if you've never seen Treasure Planet, I'm sure both you guys have, but if the crowd out there hasn't,
It's been a while.
It's unsung. It gets not the accolades that every other Disney movie around it gets.
That maybe it should.
It's beautiful. That's what it is. I have the same slide twice, so we're still off a number.
That's okay. We'll figure it out.
We're halfway there anyway.
Figured it out.
That's right.
Outside on the gantry of the communications tower, Sabine surveys the night sky with macro binoculars. She leans down to give a scratch to her loth cat, who's come out to see her, but the animal's demeanor changes suddenly and it emits a low growl, just as an HK. Yeah.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but
No.
she gets the map open and it shoots the beam off to. Do you get the impression that she was going out to correlate the night sky to what she saw in the map?
I kind of thought that.
Maybe.
There's a line where they're not sure what the origin of the signal was, but I think it can sort of knows where she is in the galaxy and in a general way.
The same way that we would look at constellations in our own night sky.
Right.
Maybe she saw some recognizable constellations.
It's roughly this direction.
Yeah.
That's sort of the impression I got too.
Okay.
Alternatively, it could just be like, she's been in there for hours and hours and hours trying to unlock this thing.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just like, okay, I did it. Need a break. Gonna go out and look.
She literally leans down and says, "Looks like I'm going on a trip."
Yeah.
Just then, an HK droid fires his weapon from behind. The Mandalorian rolls and adroitly dodges the blaster fire. No easy feat, possibly force assisted. Engaging in hand-to-hand combat, she spin kicks the droid, knocking it off balance and down to the deck. Suddenly, a second droid grabs her from behind, hoisting her off the deck. Sabine repeatedly elbows the HK in the side of the head, frantically grasping for its back-mounted blaster. The first stunned droid manages to get to its feet, and while Sabine struggles with the second, it heads inside her room.
To my estimation, there is nothing that she does in this scene that isn't on par with what we've seen Bo-Katan do.
Yeah.
Like, she is so good at what she does.
Oh, yeah. And I think you can tell that the actress might be a trained fighter. Like,
yeah.
She knows her stuff. She moves like a martial artist. And there's the map with the galaxy. So I
with
did
that little golden thread.
The thread.
Why is it golden and nothing else is?
The droid, finding the map still active, grabs it from its dais, smashes the emitter with its fist, and turns the blaster on the console beside it, which explodes in a shower of sparks. Marching from the room, the assassin droid heads down the catwalk opposite Sabine and the second HK. Desperately struggling, Sabine managed to get her hand around the handle of the droid's weapon. Firing it, the blast slams into the foot, hobbling it, and it drops Sabine from its clutches. She rolls, drawing the weapon with both hands, and blasts the droid. Quickly giving chase, the first droid, now in possession of the star map, disappears behind the door of the tower's turbo lift. Running back in her room, Sabine signals Huang, telling her she needs backup. And we cut quickly to Huang interrupting Ahsoka and Hera's conversation, simply stating, "We have a problem." Yeah, that's true.
Anonymous Facebook user says she was a bounty hunter at the age of 15.
She absolutely was. That was her pre Spectre storyline. Absolutely.
How about she was a part of the Imperial military?
How about she invented the weapon that destroyed Mandalore?
That is that.
Yeah.
There is that. Yeah.
And possibly the one that's
Mandalorian trained. Yes.
Trained, yeah. Possibly the rightful wielder of the Darksaber too, although it's non-existent in this time.
It's irrelevant now.
Possibly. We cut quickly to Huang and Ahsoka. We have a problem. Sabine pulls a lightsaber hilt from the crate under the table, pausing to take it in. It's definitely Ezra's, but she's modified the emitter to be a little more like Ahsoka's sabers. She bolts out the door and down the gantry. At the bottom of the,
I got a full breakdown on that tomorrow night. For those of you who can come back tomorrow for part 2, I'm definitely going to break down that lightsaber
beautiful
in detail.
Nice, very good. At the bottom of the turbo lift, Sabine races out after the droid. She stops in her tracks. The droid is indeed there, but not alone. Standing beside him, the still unnamed false Padawan. She tells Sabine, "We've been looking for this," indicating the star map in her hand. Sabine, ever defiant, tells the Dark Apprentice, "That's too bad," snapping her saber to life by her side, its green blade cutting through the night. The caped antagonist hands the map to the droid and steps forward, drawing her own saber and igniting it in the same position. Sabine visibly gasps, not expecting that. She left before Ahsoka could tell her what they were up against. Sabine enters ready position 1, harkening back to her early training with Kanan and the drills with Ezra, while she wielded the dark saber. Sabine's blade at the ready closes the distance between the two opponents.
Yeah, we're not using sticks this time.
Not sticks. Her opponent is motionless, patient, something Sabine definitely is not. She lunges forward with a two-handed overhead swing and is met with a solid double-handed block that does not move a millimeter. Sabine presses but must weather a series of very heavy attacks from the false Padawan, her fury expressed in her prowess. No slouch or stranger to a tough fight, the Mandalorian Jedi incumbent redoubles her effort, striking hard and often, each swing met with a heavier block. Switching between single-handed, flourishing movements and heavy two-handed attacks, this new baddie is a sight to behold. Sabine is able to hold back her blows, but her saber is pressed back close to her face, showcasing her opponent's strength.
She's really good in this, and by she I mean Shin.
Yeah,
she looks really good. Like
that, she does that. There's that one superhero pose that she does there. I got a shot of
with the
audio, with the hand drawn like a Batman. You know,
yeah.
Love it.
I mean, for Hollywood Foo, she's pretty good at it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. As Ahsoka and Yuang race the short distance to the communications tower, the lightsaber duel rages along. Using her cloak, the false Padawan is able to keep Sabine off her game, swinging wildly, growing tired from the heavy attacks. Sabine's sword arm is grasped in a spinning maneuver, almost like it's a dance, propelling her back, and she stumbles to the floor for the first time. Cutting back to the ship over the highway, with the tension builds as they are almost there. Ahsoka can see them. Back on her feet, exhausted, Sabine is knocked down several more times, pressed by the sheer aggression of the opponent's attacks. Now blocking more than attacking, Sabine is fully on the defensive, locking sabers, attempting to gain any advantage. She is faltering. Easily stepping aside Sabine's cumbersome attacks, the young adversary performs a graceful pirouette so diametrically opposed to much of her fighting style, it comes quick and straight below Sabine's slow overhead attempt. The blood-orange blade enters Sabine Wren's right abdomen and exits her back. Drawing her sword up at a slight angle, the villain removes it as swiftly as she stabbed. Sabine falls to one knee, never dropping her blade, valiantly swinging at her opponent, wildly missing.
You got to admire, her determination and stamina in that moment.
Yeah.
It's pretty. Yeah, it's serious. Observing her with intensity and maybe curiosity, like a wounded animal being watched by its prey, the roar of the T-16 fills the night as its lights swoop into view. Turning to look, eyes blazing with intensity, the false Jedi Padawan races off into the night with a final fiery gaze at Sabine that screams, "Next time." Ahsoka runs toward her apprentice, her image obscured by the glaring landing lights. Sabine, still upright, on one knee, lightsaber held, still aloft, breathes heavy, still ready for a fight. But it's been too much. Grasping her side as her master approaches, Sabine falls to the ground, grunting, laboring for breath. She never passes out. Cut to black. Oh, that I forgot to. Yeah, there you go.
Do we think
that scene in Platoon with Willem Dafoe where he's just being he never falls until the very moment,
the very
somehow
end.
Superhumanly on his feet still. Sort of the vibe I get from her there. Directed by Dave Filoni. Could you tell? Written by Dave Filoni, and this is my favorite bit. Created by Dave Filoni. Based on a story by George Lucas, but now created by Dave Filoni.
Absolutely.
That makes me so happy. And while I was doing that slide, I kind of noticed some things in the background there.
Well, there's a lot going on.
Little wordies in the language that
This is a new runic language that we've not seen before.
So it's got some legs, okay, in in the Sith runic language, which is Urkitat.
Yeah.
Which is also called the Macquarie runes because he just sort of made up a bunch of gibberish and put them in his concept drawings. It's also called the Old Tongue, and it's been adopted at Galaxy's Edge.
Cool.
And that's what I thought we were dealing with, because some of the things line up. And I wanted to dive on this, but I was rapidly running out of time. And when I woke up this morning, I saw that you had sent me the actual.
I did, yeah. Props, hats off to Eric Voss over at New Rockstars.
Absolutely.
I know that I harp on their channel a lot because they get a lot wrong, but like when it comes to cryptography, they were so on point with this. They actually translated the entirety of the end credits, and we know the names of every planet that the golden threads pass through, including Paradia.
Yeah. In the end, it's apparently been cracked, and the names of the planets include Arcana, Coruscant, Corellia, Dathomir, Mandalore, Perdia, and Cetos.
Yeah.
And then because they hit me in the feels, I'm going to hit everybody else in the feels.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
There was no way that they were not going to dedicate at least the first episode to Rey.
Absolutely.
And I mean, I don't know about your social media feeds, but mine, a lot of them has been inundated with like they're not cast photos, but they're like
behind the scenes
photos taken on.
There's one specifically of all the villains together that's just really touching. Yeah.
There's one with Rey and Ivana and Rosario.
Yes.
Just kind of looks like they're hanging out, kind of clowning around. They're all in costume, but they're just like, none of them are on set at the moment. So it's just a nice sort of like, hey, let's just take a picture.
Yeah. So I thought at the end, if it's not too anticlimactic, we'll play a game, and we don't have to play it every episode because it's
no. Come on, man. We love games on our show.
Be able to play it. I might be able to swing it every episode because it's only a few slides every time, but it's a game. And I don't know if you've ever heard the reference, but it's a stand-up comedian once said it, and he said, "Attention, Bruce Willis. Squinting is not an emotion." And in light of that, I give to you the crossed arms of Ahsoka Tano. It started as an unfounded criticism on social media based upon the amount of time Ahsoka crossed her arms in the trailers, which was put to rest when a compilation of doing that sporadically throughout the Clone Wars and Rebels was offered to counter. Well, now I've got a whole episode, and I want to play a little game. 1.
Yep.
2. 3.
Oh my.
4. 5. 6.
Yep.
She actually uncrosses her arms and recrosses
them in the same scene.
7. 8. 9. 10. 11. And 12 times Ahsoka Tano crosses her arms in that episode.
40-odd-minute episode.
I didn't notice it until Lauren pointed out, and then I couldn't unsee it. And Lauren wants me to cut a YouTube video together and post it on the channel or the chat with the Sesame Street song 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And honorably mentioning both Sabine and Hera.
Get a token arm crossing.
Guys, that's me for the evening. I hope my God. Really like that.
Well, Hank, I tip my hat to you. That was an awesome recollection of episode 1, Master and Apprentice. Did you guys out there, did you guys get anything that we missed? Certainly let us know. Hit us up in the comments on whatever platform you're watching from, or shoot us an email over at fandompower3@gmail.com. Tell us your thoughts about our show and about what you think of Ahsoka. Tomorrow night, we'll be back. It's going to be the Ahsoka Fano Show Part 2, where I will be taking us through Part 2, Toil and Trouble. We did think about doing a double long episode, but it was just
it would have been a 4-hour job. Yeah, the
preparation on that. Yeah. We're running about an hour and 40 minutes right now, so that's pretty average for a 40-minute live action episode for us.
Around there.
I suspect we might go a little longer tomorrow night. I tend to be a little more wordy sometimes. And I got lots of stuff that I want to talk about that's going to come up tomorrow night. I hope you guys enjoyed the show tonight. Do you guys have anything that you guys want to end on
I
before?
had a thought.
Yeah, let's hit it.
We never see Purgles through the original trilogy.
No.
And is it possible that all the Purgles jumped at the end of Rebels?
Oh, well, no, it's not.
No,
it's
Okay.
not, and I'm gonna tell you why tomorrow night.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because like the next time we see them, right, are in silhouette in the Mandalorian.
Right.
Yeah.
In hyperspace.
Yeah.
That's right, in hyperspace.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was just wondering, maybe like they
I
jumped.
think it should be noted. It's sort of because I was watching the epilogue as I was doing this because I was building a few things that kind of rhymed with it, and I did notice one thing that I never really harped on before was that after the Purgle jumps with Thrawn and Ezra on the bridge of the Chimera, there's a report to Ryder Azadi from the Rebel Fleet Command that says all of the Imperial ships are gone.
Yeah.
Space around Lothal is empty.
So they
So,
told
yeah.
everything.
I wonder what
we talk about the Chimera fleet from the Heir to the Empire novels returning. Like that's a thing now that I never really focused on before.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to jump too far ahead, but tomorrow we're going to see. We talk about scope and scale of things. We're going to see the big villain ship, and there's a scope and scale there that is suggestive that maybe the however the Purgles are traveling through hyperspace, maybe they don't have to have physical. I know they had physical contact with Thrawn's ship, but maybe it's a little more like a Star Trek-y thing where they create the field around them and it's bigger than just them. And we'll talk about that tomorrow night.
And that's kind of, and I will, and if you didn't cover it, and I'm sure you probably did, that's kind of why I'm leaning towards the Rakata, because they tamed the race, like they tamed the entire galaxy, in an evil way, but they tamed the race that tamed the Purgles.
Oh wow, yeah, okay.
And so yeah, we'll talk about that tomorrow.
Yeah, that sounds great. Guys, part 1, Master and Apprentice. If you had to score it out of 10, where does it land for everybody?
I'm 11 out of 10 for me.
11 out of 10. That's very high praise.
Man,
at least a 10 out of 10.
Full 10 for you.
Full 10.
I give it a 9. Oh, we got another Facebook user. 11. That's 2 11s, a 10, and a 9 from me. That's a pretty good score.
It's a 10 average.
That might be the highest score out the gate we've had of any of the shows that we've covered so far.
And at the same time, like, I don't feel like they had to give us a second episode right away, but it was nice they did.
Yeah. I think that the outcry of "Did you just kill Ahsoka Sabine in the first episode" might have gone over hard, and I think that may be why.
If you didn't,
it did go over
you would get
hard in Masters of the Universe.
You would get those complaints.
Faced a lot of backlash there.
Like you set up that tension just to remove it. So rather than and just keep it seamless. Like it was never meant to create that kind of a cliffhanger.
There's we don't want to lose our audience before we get the story off the ground. Yeah. So let's just give the 2-parter right away and just alleviate anybody's fears that, oh, it's okay, things are going to move forward.
Mm-hmm. They should make us wait 2 weeks for the next one.
Don't say that yet.
No.
All right,
like 2 days away. It's crazy.
I know.
A day early.
Tuesday nights where we can actually, guys. I asked in our last episode. Nobody deemed it appropriate or necessary to answer. Maybe we can look forward to, say, the finale. Would anybody be interested in doing a live watch party with us, and we can do this in real time?
Maybe.
Let us know in the comments. Send us an email. It's fandompower3@gmail.com. Let us know if you would be interested in a live watch party with the 3 of us for the Ahsoka finale. All right. That's it for me, guys. I think we're going to have a great time tomorrow night. I think the show is in great hands.
Off to a wonderful start.
Absolutely it is. And please come back tomorrow night when we talk about Toil and Trouble. But until then, for Fandom Power, my name is Wes.
I'm Andy.
And I'm Hank. And I think we can say it again. May the Force be with you.
May the Force be with us all. Bye for now, everybody.